Welcome back to the Dragon Den, my loyal Dragonites. King of Dragons 5000 is back with another action figure review. Today we'll be taking a look at the Mezco 1/12 Collective, the Batman. And so here we have the Batman pose and out of the packaging, and before we have a look at the figure, let's run through his accessories. Batman will come with 4 very impressive head sculpts, as well as a multitude of hands for various style posing and holding his different accessories. Batman also includes 2 versions of his folded up grapple gun, 3 versions of the extended grapple gun, a flare and a UV light, his smoke bomb gun, an empty cowl that he can hold, a pair of 2 different versions of the Batarang, 2 adrenaline pens, a wingsuit that he can actually wear, and of course he comes with his Mezco display stand and flight arm. So overall the Batman will come with a huge array of accessories, and I like what they did here. So with the Batman's accessories out of the way, let's have a closer look at his details. Mezco has done a great job here with the Batman, and the suit here is actually one of the best we've ever gotten in 1/12 scale. It looks very good, and the amount of details Mezco is able to put into it are actually well done. Taking a look at the head sculpt, Mezco has done a really good job sculpting Robert Pattinson's head under the bat cowl. The eyes are done really well, and you can actually see where the cowl ends and the makeup underneath the cowl starts. One criticism on the cowl that I have is that the seam lines are not as prominent as they should be. They do seem a little faded here. And the bat ears on the cowl are actually done really nicely. They are kind of small, pointy, but that's pretty much how they were in the movie. Taking a look at the rest of his suit, Batman is wearing his armor, which looks really good, and I love the fact that Mezco made the chest piece out of plastic. The bat insignia on the front looks really good, and I like the details that Mezco was able to paint onto here. And because this is a Mezco figure, his outfit is actually made of fabric, which looks really good, and I love the fact that they were able to make his armor out of vinyl. The separation on the plates might be a little bit drastic here, but for the most part it looks really good. Taking a look at Batman's arms, you can see that his shoulder pads are actually sculpted perfectly, where we do have some color in here with some grays, some blacks, and even some silver rivets. The way they designed the shoulder pad, it's connected to the bicep armor, which I'm not complaining because the look is actually really clean here. And you can actually see some straps going on his bicep armor, where we once again have that gray and black and even a little bit of orange with the pull tabs. His undersuit is still done in that gray fabric, and you can see some vinyl lines that they actually added to his sleeves. His gauntlets are mostly done in black plastic, and they do look good, especially the painted dart launchers that we see on the top of his gauntlet. And on the inside of the gauntlet we do have the ports where you can put the extended grapple gun or the folded up, and both of them look really good here. On his left glove we do have a computer screen, which is pretty accurate to what we saw in the movie, and the design on the gloves looks really good here. The paint is really clean with both the grays and blacks working perfectly together here. The Batman is sporting one of the most unique utility belts that we've seen out of a Batman figure, where we do have some really good pouches here on the right side. We also do have some handcuffs hanging down, and on his right hip we do have the holster for his smoke gun. On the left side we do have a cartridge for his smoke gun. Unfortunately it's not removable, but we do have a bigger pouch here as well. And on the back of his belt you can see some storage for his flare and the UV light. And on his legs you can see the armor padding, which is still done really nicely in that soft vinyl, giving it a really good look. His pants do have some impressive detail running down the sides, where we have this really intricate design pattern running down the length of his leg. And his knee pads are done in that soft vinyl, completing the armor look. Batman's boots are sculpted in plastic, where we do have this really nice feel to them, and there is some orange paint at the top of his boots. And then Batman is wearing a pair of black workers boots, which look really good here, and you can see the lace work in his boots. We also do have some straps and clips which are nicely painted here on the boots, and they did a really good job designing the sole of his boot. His cape is done in this really nice pleather material, and one thing I like about it is that it does look all wrinkly, which is pretty much what we saw in the movie. The cape hangs down nicely and the texturing works perfectly, and one thing I love that they added was the seam lines, which was pretty accurate to the movie. So overall, the Batman has some impressive details, and Mezco spared no expense when designing this figure. The soft vinyl and plastics work perfectly in tandem together, bringing the look of the Batman to life. With his paint and details out of the way, let's compare the Batman to our usual suspects. Here we have the Batman posed next to a Marvel Legends Cyclops and DC Multiverse Superman. Mattel's WWE Elite Series and Mezco's 1/12 Collective Popeye the Sailor Man. The Lightning Collection White Ranger and the Star Wars Black Series Mandalorian. And finally we have the Batman compared to the Mezco '89 Batman and the Zack Snyder Batman. In terms of comparisons, Batman here will fit in nicely with the rest of your Mezco collection, but he will be slightly too big for your standard collection. So with his comparisons out of the way, let's run through his articulation. The Batman does have a double ball joint in the head and a ball joint in the neck. Ball sockets in his shoulders. Arms go out to the side and would do a full 360. He has a bicep swivel and a double hinge in his elbow. A swivel in his gauntlet and a ball hinge in his wrist. Batman does have a double ball joint in his upper torso and a ball joint in his lower torso. His legs do kick forward, go back, out to the side, and have a thigh swivel. The Batman has a double bend in his knee, a swivel at the top of his knee, and a ball joint in his ankle. Finally, the Batman does have a wireframe in his cape. So overall, the Batman will have some pretty good articulation, but it is quite hindered by how tight his suit is, unfortunately. With everything said and done about the Mezco 1/12 Collective, the Batman, let's get him posed for my final thoughts. Mezco has done a really good job here with this version of the Batman, giving us probably one of the best 1/12 versions of the character. The amount of detailing here on the Batman is top notch, and we expect nothing less out of Mezco. One thing I love about the Batman is how many accessories we get with him. They gave him a huge array of hands, which is one thing I love for style posing. The different expressions for his head actually work here, and the unmasked head has a really good likeness to Robert Pattinson. I will admit one of my least favorite accessories in this set is the wingsuit, as it does look ridiculous on the figure. I do understand why they included it, but overall it's one accessory that I think I could have lived without. But as good as this figure is, it's not without its flaws, and one thing I think Mezco failed in is the proportions on this version of the character. Robert Pattinson's Batman wasn't really the bulkiest character, and he was actually quite slender, and we really don't see that here with this figure. Add to it, his head is disproportionately too large for the body, and it's not what we saw on screen. It might just be my imagination, but I do feel like Mezco is starting to make the heads on their figures a little bit too big, and they kinda need to dial the size back just a little bit. Another place I feel this figure suffers is in the articulation, as the suit they went with, though it is good, it does limit the articulation due to how tight it is on the character. The fabric will stretch in places, but I really don't want to test to see how long it'll be before the vinyl starts peeling on this figure if you push the limits of the fabric too far. But overall, it's still a fantastic figure, and if you're a fan of the movie, you're probably going to want to have this Batman in your collection. I did get my version of the Batman directly from Mezco, where he was about $120, so after shipping came out to about $140. If you're able to get a hold of this Batman and add him to your collection, you're more than likely going to be happy with what Mezco has produced here. So with everything being said and done, don't forget to like this video, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel, and check out the rest of my Mezco videos. If you're in a position to help out the Dragon Den, check out my Patreon, where I have some exclusive content and early access videos. Check out my Instagram account for new and exciting action figure photos, videos, recent pickups, latest prints, and as always, ring that bell so you never miss another video. And until next time, my fellow Dragon Knights coming from the Dragon Den, I'm King of Dragons 5000, reminding you to redesign, rebuild, and reclaim. I'll see you next time.